Talking Technique. This is Ari. So if you've been following my column Talking Technique for a while, you know that I place a lot of emphasis on the details of good technique. I talk a lot about the left hand position by using one finger per fret. I talk a lot about the different angles that matter, keeping the knuckles parallel to the fretboard, not over gripping the neck, not getting flat down with your hand in the back of the bass or bringing your thumb over like that. I talk a lot about how you can help your left hand by placing your arm on the bass here, which creates a subtle force towards this direction, which actually helps you when you're pushing down a fret because that goes this direction. So you don't have to overgrip and provide this counter movement with the back of your hand, i.e. the thumb. So I put a lot of details on what I consider proper technique, and it all centers around the one finger per fret position. So maybe you are taking it all in, checking it out, and then you go and see your favorite bass player play, and they're sounding fantastic, and you look at their left hand, and there it is, the pistol grip. It begs the question, is it really necessary to painstakingly, train your fingers to do this one finger per fret setup and all that goes with it? And I have several answers for you for that. There are some things you can't do with the pistol grip. Anything that involves an interval that is bigger than a whole step will, on one string, will not be executable with the pistol grip. And I am hammering these on, right? So tone production is on the left. Licks like that is just not possible to do with this sort of setup. And I've seen lots of great players use the sort of lazy approach for like a repetitive groove. And then they would go into a fast lick or into a solo or a fill, and their hand would immediately spread out to hit one finger per fret. So that shows you that they do know it, but sometimes maybe preferring the pistol grip. And I'll go into that a little more later. Reason number 2. It is extremely beneficial, in my view, to look at your individual best setup with the bass, because it's not just about one finger per fret. It's about, what does the arm do? What does the thumb do? We're just looking at this whole setup. This can prevent injury. If you hold tension and you are not aware of it, not only will it be audible, but you can also set yourself up for chronic injury, tendonitis, pain. Next reason, music theory. When we are learning music theory on an instrument like the bass, with the fretboard, with the very repetitive setup, then we are learning shapes and patterns. And we do ourselves a huge favor to include good fingering as we are looking at the shape of a major scale or a chord. That makes a lot of sense to do that because it will be repeating itself all over the fretboard. And if you have that under your fingers in as a shape, as a chunk, it will make understanding songs, analyzing songs, reading music. It will make all of that so much easier because then you will see something like this, for example, as a major triad with the octave on top. You will see that on the music paper and you will know immediately how to finger it. When it's a major triad, do not start with your first finger. You'll have to shift around and do stuff that is not very economical. But if it's a major triad, start with your second finger or with your pinky. That's another good one. So why not combine optimal fingering with music theory as we are learning it? It aids reading, it aids understanding of the fretboard, and it's best done with the one finger per fret position because it gives us the most options. If you have good technique, consistent technique, you will get a much better tone from your instrument than when you have to move around a lot or when your timing is being forced to be inconsistent because you are struggling to get to the notes. It's audible. So good technique leads to great tone. In our daily lives, we do this kind of movement a lot. We pick things up, and there are big, strong muscles that are taxed in our daily life and trained in our daily life. Now, when we're approaching the base, maybe our instinct is to use those muscles. Think the strings are big, we got to push them down, so we tend to overwork and use those muscles that are naturally strong. But if we don't ever practice one finger per fret, we don't give these finer, smaller muscles a chance to develop. And we overcompensate with those big muscles. So our hand cannot achieve the kind of independence that I can get when I train those finer muscles. So with the one finger per fret position, I really force myself to practice that. And that may not sometimes be the reason why practicing one finger per fret, it feels more strenuous in the beginning than this. It's much more comfortable and lazy to do that because it's big muscles that we use all the time. My main argument why I teach one finger per fret is that as you are learning and developing your technical skill, it makes the most sense to improve your technical skills that will give you the maximum flexibility down the line. So as you are learning, neurological connections are being made. You are learning a new habit. It's a habitual or default position that you are learning when you are training yourself systematically in the one finger per fret position. And we know from neurological research that there's actually brain structures changing. Myelin is being created as we are doing these repetitive movements over and over. So in other words, the consistency in practicing certain shapes a certain way, consistency in movement is key for fast progress. This is really about memory training as much as it is about technique training. You can compare the mind to an old camera. If you take the exact same picture over and over with a camera, you will get a very clear and concise photograph. So if you constantly shift the focus and move the camera around, you get a blurry picture, which means that it is hard to recall what the content actually was. So there are these recurring patterns and shapes, and why not, while we're at it and learning them, why not add best fingering practices so it becomes one chunk of information? The counter argument to what I just said might be, though, well, what if I get really good with pistol grip and, make that my universe that I structure everything around? And then my response would be, it is just much more limited. It doesn't give you as many options. But all that said, there are actually instances where the pistol grip makes a lot of sense. Now, as you are a learner and you don't quite know yet, haven't found your comfort zone yet, particularly with the one finger per fret position or in general just struggling with technique, I don't recommend you practice the pistol grip. I recommend you practice one finger per fret, do the permutation exercises, do, string crossing exercises, plenty of ideas for you here in the Talking Technique series. But if you want to know some instances where I believe that the pistol grip makes a lot of sense, here we go. One such instance is, for example, a repetitive groove in the lower register. We really just want to be comfortable. It's going on for a long time, and if you have a groove such as something like that, sure, you could properly finger it. If it is minor, you might finger it like this. I'm not even playing the third, but I'm sort of always thinking in some sort of music theory context there. That's fine and nice, but if you have to do it for a long time and that's all you're doing, you're never actually needing that fourth finger, then you might as well just make your hand small and do it the lazy version. It's also nice that if you have a long time with this particular groove, then it's just nice to sort of have a shift going on, so it's not the same movement over and over. You just shift, do that for a minute, then go back to the other position. So it's nice to do that. So structures that have this whole step, this span of just 2 frets in them, lend themselves very well for the pistol grip. And pentatonic patterns have that in them a lot. Now, I think of the pentatonic patterns in terms of 5 different shapes, and there is this one I call big box, little box. So there's your little box, and if that's all you need, pistol grip's fine. You also have pentatonic shapes that have this sequence in it 3 times. So, and then you have to fan up. Open, so that would be also C minor, and lots of pistol gripping there. Part of the minor pentatonic. So I Feel Good, James Brown, or a song like Stratus, which is, it can be a strain if you have to do that for a very long time. And proper fingering would be, which has this string jump in it, which is an additional challenge, or you might even finger it like that, where you are having to do the string jump with your pinky, even harder. But the remedy is the pistol grip. So you would then be doing this, and since we're pistoling, you might as well use this finger here for the same fret. So pinky here, and then the ring finger here, so you don't have to do any string crossing at all. Today's tip. I talked a lot about habits, creating habits and default positions and learning through repetition, but it's hard to change a habit. So if you find yourself pistol gripping all over and seeing value in learning a 1 finger per fret position and want to change that, don't let that spoil the fun for you. In order to change a bad technique habit, here's what I recommend. Take a couple of minutes every time you practice and focus on the desired technique habit. So for example, if you wanted to learn the 1 finger per fret position, look at permutation exercises. If it's too hard for you to start down here, start up there. There are a couple of talking techniques on that topic, how to inch your way further down and what to do to sort of help yourself open up the hand if you have a hard time with that. So you can take a look at those exercises. Stay relaxed, go slow, and while you're doing them, you give them your full attention. Now, when you later on go down on stage or go and practice with your friends, forget about all this. Just play. So here's what might happen. You practice your technique exercises, and then you go later on and play with your friends or play on stage. And then you look down, and there it is, the pistol grip. You go, I just practiced that, how come? And the tendency is to beat ourselves up and to get frustrated. However, the moment where you start noticing it is actually a moment that tells you you are on the path. Because in former times, you would not have noticed. Now you're beginning to notice. So what you do is go, oh, there's that pistol grip again. You fix it in the moment, then you forget about it again. Over time, as you keep practicing these things slowly, consistency, with a lot of repetition so that your neurological pathways can change. When you do that, you will start feeling more comfortable doing that. And all of a sudden, there'll be the day when you look down and you go, oh, I actually used to do that differently, and here it is, and it feels much more comfortable than what I used to do. I do want to let you know that in my 20-week course, I systematically teach you how to obtain the 1 finger per fret position. I call this finger kung fu, and there are exercises that you can follow along. I call these practice with me sessions. So all you need to do is put on the video and follow along with what I show you. That is one big part of my 20-week course. So are you a pistol gripper, or are you a 1 finger per fretter? Let us know. Cheers. Thanks for watching.